This video is brought to you by Dossier. Dossier is one of the leading high-quality luxury fragrance companies, but what sets them apart is the price. If you're finding yourself being overwhelmed by paying $100 to $200 for a luxury perfume, you can pay anywhere from $29 to $39 and still have the exact same scents you love while saving your pockets. This is coming. I know I am always struggling hard to think of gifts for people in my life that I love. And personally, I think you can never go wrong with like a scent or a candle or a room diffuser. I've been super into layering scents lately, and as of right now, Fruity Magnolia and Fruity Neroli have been my go-tos daily. I've been getting comments on them left and right on how good I smell, and the best thing is that they're actually duplicates for Versace and Armani's My Way, both priced at $120 each. But when you choose a Dossier dupes, they are only $29 each. And right now, Dossier is having a huge Black Friday sale, meaning that their perfumes are starting anywhere from $13. Okay, that is a huge, even better than Black Friday deal. If you use my code DAKOTA10, you get an additional 10% off at checkout. Go ahead and click the link in my bio to get your scents today, and don't forget to use code DAKOTA10. That is not true. When you outgrow something, it has nothing to do with the other person and everything to do with you. You are outgrowing the person that you used to be that was in alignment with that person. And now that you are outgrowing that past version of yourself and coming into this new version of yourself, the things and people around you are now shifting. And what happens is when you outgrow people, or you outgrow places or circumstances or jobs, whatever the case may be, those people are going to be upset with you because you no longer fit the mold that they benefited off of. So if you decide one day that you want to wake up and have boundaries, those people who benefited from you not having boundaries and you always saying yes and you always being available are going to be upset because they don't have that same version of you anymore.
Hello, stranger. It's been a minute since we last kicked. And by the way, just got in town, and I won't let you in this club.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I think we found our new filming setup. What do you guys think? I'm actually pretty obsessed with it. Sipping on some Guava Goddess kombucha, and we're bougie with it because I'm romanticizing every single aspect of my life. So go ahead and get your wine, get your snacks, get your drinks. Let me know what you're doing right now. If you're doing laundry, if you're listening to me at work, if you're listening to me on your commute to work or back home, or you're just listening to me in your bathroom trying to hide from your annoying children. Totally get you. Here you see you, I am you. And let's get into today's video. Cheers. So I did get this comment, and I did want to kind of touch on this subject because this has been a reoccurring theme, not only in my life over the past year, but just kind of like over the past specifically 3 months of outgrowing things, okay? Outgrowing things does not only have to do with people, with relationships, with friends, but you can also outgrow environments. A fish, when it's too big, you gotta change the bowl, right? You don't try to get the fish to just deal with it or get over it. You gotta get them a bigger bowl for them to swim around in and spread their wings and to grow as a fish. Well, the same thing goes with humans. So she said, can you please do a video about outgrowing people, things, and lifestyles, how to cope or be okay with letting go of some of that, and how to learn how to have the courage and find that peace with walking away. I'm finding that my best friend and I've grown apart from the past 2 years. Nothing terrible has happened. We are just in different phases of our lives. I'm recently engaged. I've been focusing on creating my own family. My friend is a bachelor, lives alone, and doesn't have much going on right now. He can be very overbearing at times and clingy. In the past has slightly affected my relationship with my fiance. There's lots of this. I don't know, maybe you can help me out. So I absolutely can, and let me actually tell you a story about when this happened towards me, and I was like so offended, took it literally so personally, and now I'm looking back and I'm realizing why my friend cut me off, okay? So a couple years ago, I was friends with this girl. We're just gonna call her Amy. Me and Amy were really good friends. We actually met through work, and I really liked Amy because she was just fun. She was exciting. She always had really good advice. Like, I don't normally ask anybody for advice, but whenever I needed advice, I would ask Amy for it because she was just that friend, that confidant that I had. She had like a really good head on her shoulders. Is my foundation? Oh my God. Why? Girl, why do you come on camera looking like this?
Yeah, I look a mess. Like,
I have to go fucking fix this. I'll be right back because that's absolutely despicable.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
I just don't understand, girl. Like, do you not look in the mirror when you're doing your makeup? The streaks? Are we okay? Okay. Amy was a really good friend of mine, and I loved her so much. As the years went by, Amy went on to be engaged, bought a house with her man, and ended up getting married, okay? Now, I was supposed to be in this wedding, okay? Not in it, but I was supposed to be like a part of it, like a guest. And I was also supposed to go to the bachelorette party. Now, during this time, I was having so much financial troubles. Like I always say to you guys, from 2018 to about 2020 were two of the most pivotal turning points in my life. I learned so many lessons in those years. I suffered a lot of losses. I got hit back to back with just failure after failure after failure, and it was just a horrible like 2 years for me. It really was. And not only that, but I was in between careers. My finances were an absolute mess. I'm also a single mom, so my finances always go towards my daughter before anything else. And I had said yes to something and committed to something that I knew that I could not afford, which was the bachelorette trip. Now, instead of saying that, what I kind of did was, when they would ask me for the money, I'd be like, oh yeah, girl, don't worry, I'll give it to you next week. I'll give it to you next week, knowing that I just couldn't do it. And my friend had even said, hey girl, I would love for you to come on my bachelorette trip with me, but I understand if you can't. You're a single mom, like I get it. She's like, you know, but I would love for you to come. The invitation is there, and if you can't come, no worries. Now, I used to be such a people pleaser, and people pleasing goes right into outgrowing and having that fear of outgrowing. So just hang on to that, put a pin in it, because we are gonna get around to it. People pleasing is something that I still am struggling with. I would say that I'm a semi-retired but semi-in people pleasing. It's kind of like Army Reserves. Like I'm a reserved people pleaser. It's something I've struggled with just like literally my whole entire life. I would always think, I don't say yes this one thing, they're never going to invite me again. Or if I don't say yes this one thing, they're not going to like me. I would seek validation through how people liked me and how people perceived me. And even though I had a fear of being perceived, I always wanted to be perceived in the most possible way. I hope this is making sense. So I told her I would go. Weeks would go by, the money still wasn't there because I didn't have the money, and I knew I could not go on this trip. But by this point, I was so gone beyond repair, and I was like, well, if I tell her I can't come now, she's really going to hate me. So naturally, I just did what I used to do all the time, and I retreated back into my shell. I stopped answering texts. I stopped answering even like one of the girls, I think like one of her like maids of honor or somebody like tried to reach out to me separately, personally, and be like, hey Dakota, like this is the last couple days to get the money and like we'd love for you to come. I just need to know. I could have had every opportunity to say no, but I was not mature in my own standpoint just yet to relay my financial difficulties, right? Because I also had a lot of pride. I didn't want people to see me as weak or as vulnerable, and I also had such a horrible relationship with money, and I thought money meant success, and by me not having money, I wasn't successful. There was a lot of things that were going on in my brain. Long story short, basically this friend kind of just stopped talking to me. And so one day I reached out to her and I was like, hey, like the wedding was like slowly, you know, coming by. I realized I didn't get an invitation. And by then I had told the, you know, bachelorette like party that I was like not going to be able to come, right? And I didn't hear from Amy at all. I reached out to her personally and we had talked, and she basically very kindly told me, I still care about you as a friend. I know you're a good person. You're a kick-ass mom, and I love you. But she was like, we are just in two different phases of our life right now, and I feel like we've outgrown each other. You know, you seem like you have new friends, and I'm so happy for you. And, you know, I have, you know, my set group of friends, and I just feel like our lives are not correlating at the moment. And, you know, like I wish you the best. Like I'm always here if you need me, but I feel like we've just outgrown each other. Now, that was the most like reasonable thing that somebody could ever say, because she didn't owe me that. At the end of the day, nobody owes you shit, right? Like if she really wanted to, she could have fell off the face of the earth, never give me an explanation, but she didn't. She did it in the kindest way possible. At that time, I was not as emotionally put together as I am right now, and I took that as, oh well, she's just mad at me because I am not, you know, I'm single. Like I was basically this person, right? I was single, I was living a bachelor lifestyle, I was going out, I was having fun, I had no like anywhere in my mind of like settling down at any time. And she had just bought a house, she was with her man, they were getting married, she was thinking about babies, and I took it offensively as like, oh, so just because I'm not stable in my career and within a relationship, she doesn't want to be friends with me. Fact of the matter is, it had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with how I was presenting myself. She had every right in her own will to outgrow me, to say that this relationship doesn't serve me anymore, and although I love you, I'm gonna love you from over here because we just don't correlate. And that was within her own right and her own understanding and how she wanted to interpret things. Now looking back, I would have done the same exact thing that she did, because we just outgrew each other. Does it mean that she's better than me? No. Does it mean that I'm better than her? No. And although now I think if our paths crossed, that we would be really good friends again, and although I still have love for her, she served a season in my life, I served a season in hers, and that's what we can remember. And I think sometimes what people get misconstrued is that when you outgrow something, whether it's a person, a place, or a circumstance, or just a mindset in general, people tend to think that I'm outgrowing because of the outside perspective. Like, I'm outgrowing the job because the job is shitty. I'm outgrowing the friend because the friend doesn't text me back fast enough. I'm outgrowing the relationship because he doesn't want to grow. That is not true. When you outgrow something, it has nothing to do with the other person and everything to do with you. You are outgrowing the person that you used to be that was in alignment with that person or with that job or with that place. And now that you are outgrowing that past version of yourself and coming into this new version of yourself, the things and people around you are now shifting. All of a sudden you find yourself at a dinner table, everybody's laughing and joking, and you're kind of sitting there and you're just like, I can't relate to you guys anymore. The jokes that everyone used to tell, they don't hit the same anymore. Or the going out and the partying and staying out till 6 a.m. just to wake up and feel like shit the next day isn't as appealing anymore. And it doesn't mean that what these people are doing is wrong. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. What it means is that as humans, we are here to evolve and we're here to grow. Every single experience that happens within our lives serves a purpose. Every failure, every celebration, every loss, every win, they're all stepping stones to get us to this place in life where we have a steady foundation, right? But when you want to build your house, you want to build it on a steady foundation. So what do you have to do? You have to learn your lessons. You have to understand your assignments. We go through crappy relationships to understand what it feels like to be in a good one, right? You can't experience something good unless you experience something bad within that same vessel, right? So you don't understand what love is until you understand what love is not. So I'm so grateful for all of the like horrible relationships I've been in and awful dates I've been on and awful men, because now when I have a man in my life who makes me feel safe and makes me feel seen and secure, I can appreciate him, because I'm like, oh my God, you would never believe when I used to deal with Jose back in the day.
He used to make me pay for my own dinner.
And I would have to get my own door.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now I can appreciate a good man because I know what it's like to not have a good man. Friends that I have in my life, I love them so much and I cherish them because I know what it's like to be in a season where I was very lonely. When I first started this whole self-discovery thing in 2016, it was a very lonely road for me. I didn't have many friends, and at times I was just so alone. And I know now what it's like to be in a fruitful season of friends because I used to not have any, right? Or I would, but they weren't quality. So now I'm grateful for them because, oh my God, now I'm grateful for those friends because I know what it's like to have friends that I wasn't so, grateful to be around and things like that. So it's not anything outside of you that's changing. It's what internally is changing. And sometimes to get to where you need to be from who you were requires discipline. And that discipline requires you to sometimes sever some connections. And maybe not sever them all the way, but create the distance. So kind of like what she said, she was like, hey, I'm at a point where now I'm with my fiance, we're settling down. And this friend of mine, he's still a bachelor, he still goes out, he still parties, he's very clingy, he's very codependent on me, right? There's nothing wrong with the girl in this situation for wanting better in her life. There's also nothing wrong with the man in this situation for living his life. And that's the thing, is like, I will give you guys a quick example, okay? 2021 Dakota.
Yeah, I look a mess.
We like to call her Sasha. And if you are not a new person on this channel, you know who Sasha is. There's Dakota, Sasha, and Sasha 2.0. Dakota is like who I am right now, calm, cool, collected, had her shit together. Sasha is like my fun, drunk side, like when I'm off of a couple of like Patron and lemonades, right? Sasha 2.0 has not been out since my birthday of 2022, and she will never come back out again. She's in a casket with just all doors hammered because that girl's crazy. That's when she mixes like Hennessy and like wine and tequila. No, Sasha, girl, you served a purpose, but you gotta stay put. And 2021 Dakota, I had a very different experience, right? I became a mom at a young age. Like, I became a mom when I was 20, basically 19, because I had her 2 weeks after I turned 20. And while all my friends were going to college and dorming and going out and partying and learning about themselves, I was raising a baby. So naturally, when my daughter turned about like 6, 7, I felt like I was kind of starting to get my social life back a little bit. The diapers were out, the formula was out, staying up till 3 in the morning from sleep regression was out, and I felt like young and just alive, and I was experiencing new things. I was dating, I was getting into like the nightlife scene, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was basically making up for lost time, like most people would say, even though it's not lost time on me because I love raising my daughter. It's like my greatest purpose in life is being a mom. I finally was getting a taste of what like a little bit of freedom felt like. Now, when you don't have something for a long time and then you get introduced to it, it's very important to have moderation. For me, I didn't have that. I wanted to go out every weekend. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to see my friends. And it was something that lasted for a very short season of my life because I realized that I'm not built for that life. I'm more of like a house party person, or like a let's go out to dinner, or like a winery thing and let's go get lip and then let's go back to the house and like cuddle and watch a movie. Like that's the type of girl that I am. Trust me, every now and then, yeah, Sasha will come out and I'll be on a couch with a bottle of something and I'll be singing City Girls or Drake lyrics or whatever, but most weekends that doesn't look like that anymore. Why? Because I know that when I am sleepy that I'm not a nice person to be around. Kids don't give a
shit about hangovers.
Okay, you'll be there over the table hunched over and they'll be like, where's my fruit snack?
Where's my ramen noodles?
Like they do not care about hangovers, as they shouldn't. And I realized that my days were being wasted because I was spending the next 1 to 2 days recovering rather than pouring into myself. That's what happens when you're almost 30, okay? Is that you spend the next day recovering, okay? The old me used to be able to go to work the next day after drinking with 2 hours of sleep. This Dakota, no. This is Dakota 2.0. We can't do that, baby girl. No. So naturally, when I started to stray away from the nightlife scene and the clubbing scene, I definitely got some pushback, right? Like my friends were kind of like, why aren't you coming out? Why aren't you want to hang out with us? And it wasn't that I didn't want to come out and hang out with them. I love my friends. If I could be with my friends all the time, we could have a little cul-de-sac and have all of our houses on the same road, I would totally do that because I love those fuckers so much. They are the most dysfunctional human beings I've ever met, but I love them so much. But fact of the matter is that I get distracted very easily, okay? I noticed that when I was in that season of my life where I was going out a lot and I was focusing more on like going out and being with friends and, you know, laughing and giggling, I was not focused on my channel. I was not focused on my podcast, and my subscribers and my analytics started to dip, okay? And I quickly realized that I cannot do both, okay? I knew that if I kept repeating the same perpetual habits that were getting me into a place where I wasn't happy, that I wasn't going to grow, right? And so me, myself, and I had to grow as a person. And I'm not going to lie, along the way, a couple friends I did lose because of that, because we just were not in alignment anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm better than them. What it means is that I'm understanding things a little bit earlier. Everybody understands things differently, okay? Some people, especially when you don't have kids, that nightlife and that going out and, you know, partying and doing all that stuff is appealing because you don't have those set lists of responsibilities. You have to worry about yourself, your job, your house. And other than that, if you got an extra 20 bucks at the end of the week, you can go and you can buy a couple Coronas with it, right? But like for somebody like me, when I have that extra 20 bucks, I have to worry about my daughter. So it's a little bit different where my priorities are, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can still have kids and be married and be friends with people who don't have kids and aren't married, but there has to be a mutual understanding and there has to be boundaries. What it sounds like in this situation with what she sent to me is that your friend is not respecting your boundaries. What it sounds like is that you're moving forward in life on a path that is suited for you, and for him, he wants you to stay here. And what happens is when you outgrow people or you outgrow places or circumstances or jobs, whatever the case may be, those people are going to be upset with you because you no longer fit the mold that they benefited off of. So if you decide one day that you want to wake up and have boundaries, those people who benefited from you not having boundaries and you always saying yes and you always being available are going to be upset because they don't have that same version of you anymore. They don't have that same version of you that was always available, that would drop everything for them. You're putting yourself first, which is not selfish. It's actually a good thing to put yourself first because that's how you get closer to where you want to be in life. But those people that benefited off of your lack of boundaries are going to be upset. You are going to get pushback. You are going to get the looks. You are going to get the what happened, like why are you like all of a sudden like not seeing us and hanging out with us and who do you think you are type of thing. And that's another thing too, is that when you are doing something in your life that is outside of the norm of the people that you are around, you are naturally going to get the doubters, the haters, the people that are like, ooh, like, what are you doing? Like, why do you think you can do that? Why are you pouring into this goal that you don't even know is going to work? And the thing is that nobody has to be clear of your vision besides you. If you wake up one day, you decide that you want to start something and it's not very like feasible and it may not look like it makes sense to other people, but it makes sense to you and you have that dream and you have that execution and that plan, do it. Even if everybody is literally telling you like, what are you doing? Like, that's stupid. It's not going to go anywhere. When you rely on people outside of you and things outside of you for validation for your plans, you're going to fail every single time. In order to get anywhere in life where you are happy and you want to see the fruits of your labor like actually coming into fruition, you have to have a strong sense of foundation within you and within yourself and within your plan and your vision. It does not have to make sense to anybody but you. It does require a different mindset. It does require sacrifices. It requires trading in the late nights for early mornings. It requires saying no instead of saying yes. And it requires focus and discipline and motivation. That's not going to make sense to other people who are not in that season of their life right now. Doesn't mean that anything's wrong with them. Doesn't mean that you're better than them. Doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means like, hey, we are not in the same field right now, and that's okay. I still love you, but like I have to do this and I can love you at the same time, but I'm not going to be that same person that I was 2 years ago because I've grown and I've changed and my priorities have shifted. There's nothing wrong with that. Boundaries are so important, you guys. Boundaries are literally the highest act of self-love. Highest form of self-love is boundaries, because that means I love myself enough to say no to this because I know that the future me is gonna love that I made this choice, right? Like I said no to this but said yes to myself. That is the highest form of self-love in my whole entire opinion. If anybody were to ask me, what does self-love mean to you? Having boundaries, abiding by them, and executing them, because you're only as good as you abide by your boundaries, and nobody else has to abide by your boundaries but you. So with that being said, if you say to your friends like, hey, I see that this is the life that I want, and so it's going to require some sacrifices, and like I love you, but like I'm not going to be available to go to the club every Saturday because I want to stay up and look at this business venture I want to do, or do school, or just like meditate or read a book, or just have silence. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And if they say and give you that pushback, you're just gonna have to navigate what you want to do from there, because they don't have to be okay with that, right? Just like you don't have to be okay with them not abiding by your boundaries, but you still have to abide by them. And eventually if they fall off, that's really just the universe doing you a solid, because not everybody can come with you. Noah did not have everybody come onto the ark for a reason, because not everybody understood Noah's vision. And the people that came on, were glad that they did, because they trusted him and they trusted his plan and trusted his vision. The ark is like what you want in your life and your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, and you are Noah. Like you get to decide who comes with you and who doesn't. And fact of the matter is that you do need to be around some sort of like-minded people. I have different groups of friends for different reasons. I have specific friends who are also in entrepreneurship and who are also doing things on the side. That way we can bounce ideas off of each other, encourage each other, motivate each other. I have my friends that feel like family, and we go out and we have fun and we have a great time, but there's also duality, and sometimes we stay in and we have game nights and we don't really go out and things like that. And they're very kind of like understanding, and they know if I say no to something, it's because I literally can't do it and then I'm doing something else. Like I'm not doing it to be a bitch, I'm not doing it to be snotty. It's just like I have shit I need to work on, and I have horrible time management skills and horrible discipline. It feels uncomfortable to say no. Like that's what I was getting into with the whole people pleasing thing, is it's hard to say no when you are a people pleaser. Therefore, it's hard for you to outgrow things when you're a people pleaser, because when you start outgrowing that version of yourself that once aligned with things in your past that you just don't relate to anymore, what's going to happen is when you say no, you're going to get pushback. People are going to be mad. People don't expect for you to actually abide by your boundaries, because you've shown time and time again that you don't abide by them. Just like the first of every year, you're like, okay, here's this Planet Fitness membership, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then by day 6 you're done and you don't go back, and that money keeps coming out of your account every single month, but you're not going. Or just like how you say, I'm gonna start eating healthier, and you will meal prep and you will get your shit together, but then after week 2 you go out one night, you slip off, and then you stop eating healthy. When people see in your life that you don't do what you say you're going to do, what else do they have to bounce off of? And that literally used to be me. Like I used to say, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get fit, I'm gonna start eating better, and then after like the first month I would just completely stop. Or I would say like, oh, I want to start this new business venture, and then I would start like writing my book, and then I would stop. If people see that I am not doing what I say I'm going to do, how can they believe me when I say I'm going to stop doing this because I want better for my life, when my blueprint thus far has been that I have let myself down and given up on myself every single time? That's the only blueprint that anybody has to go off of. So sometimes you can't even blame people for not believing you when you say, I've outgrown this and I want better, because you've said that a ton of times, but you're not doing anything about it. And in fact, you're still giving in to temptation and going back to the very thing that's keeping you stuck and stagnant away from your goals. You have to want better for yourself, and you have to want it for you. You cannot rely on external validation from anybody else to do the things that you want to do. Is it nice? Yes. But from your vessel and your core, you do have to, within yourself, know that you want this change and love yourself enough to execute it. And then surround yourself with people who support that ideology, because then when you are having days where you are not motivated, or you're not centered within what you want, or you're just feeling sluggish, or just you're having a day, you're being human, they're going to be like, yo, remember when you said X, Y, and Z, da 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 da, and they're going to keep you on track, and vice versa. We are who we hang out with, and people around us are either our biggest asset or our biggest liability. You can pick and choose. To answer the question, how to cope with outgrowing certain lifestyles or certain people or certain places, is constantly reminding yourself of why you're doing it. Like, for example, I know that in this season of my life, as winter's approaching, I'm naturally going to kind of go into a little bit of a hermit mode. Not self-isolation all the way, because I am an extrovert and I love my friends, I love my family, but I do know that right now in the winter is the time to prepare for the fruits of my labor that I want to come into fruition, right? Everything that you're planting right now is being manifested, and winter is really that time for hunting and gathering, okay? So for right now, I know that I'm gonna have to say no to a lot of things, and that may disappoint people, but I don't care, because I know that the future me is going to be so happy that I spent this season preparing. And my why is that I want a happy life. I want to design a life that I love. I want a life that is of ease and slow and soft and pleasing and feels good to me. And because of that, I know what I have to do to get there. Your why may be completely different. Your why may be, I'm cultivating this lifestyle with my husband, or I want to get into a period where I want to cultivate this lifestyle with somebody there with me, but I can't do that while I'm doing this, right? Sometimes you can have both depending on the circumstance, but sometimes you just can't. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have friends in my group who have taken 2 years off and come back because they had to do what they had to do, and they're welcome back with open arms. And I have friends who have completely fallen off, and they literally have never come back, and we still talk sometimes, and we still see each other maybe once a year. It's not how it used to be, but I'm happy for them and I honor them because that is their season, and they're happy for me and they honor me because I'm in my season. Outgrowing people at the end of the day has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with us, right? Because we are the deciding factor of, are we going to let people and their opinions penetrate and bother us, or are we going to care about our opinion and what we want to do? And I just realized one day that I care about my opinion more, because this is my life. Nobody has to live this life but me. Nobody has to deal with the repercussions, the consequences, or the positive factors of my life but me. Sure, some choices I make may affect the people around me, but at the end of the day, the choices that I make directly impact me, and I get to choose those. So I don't care if somebody's mad at me for saying no, because I'm saying yes to something greater. I don't care if somebody is pissy with me because, oh, she never comes around anymore, because I know that I am putting work into what I want to do right now. And also, you don't even have to have a goal or a vision or a dream to say no. If you don't want to go out or do something, you don't have to. And you're allowed to change your mind when you acquire new information. I am allowed to change my mind if I get new information. If I find out about something that I am invited to or want to do, and then down the line I get information about something and it doesn't really coincide with what I want to do, I can say no. Or even if I don't get new information, if I just am here one night and I'm energetically, I don't want to do this, I can say no. And that's just being a Pisces. For me personally, I'll make plans in the moment, and then when the day actually comes, I'm like, girl, I don't even want to go. I secretly am always that person that's wishing for plans to get canceled, but then I'm really happy when I go. It's a really weird ebb and flow in my life. But anyways, you are allowed to change your mind at any point, at any time. And just because you used to be cool with something does not mean that you have to be cool with something now. If you had a belief growing up, or you had a belief a year ago, a week ago, a day ago, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, actually, I don't believe that anymore, you're allowed to do that. And there's going to be people that will be like, oh wait, but didn't you say? Yeah, I said it, and now I'm saying this. I'm allowed to grow. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to evolve. And one thing about people who don't want to be self-aware and take that time in their life to look at their life and see how they could change it for the better is they're always going to project the negativity onto you. Oh, but we're young. Oh, but we have time. No, you don't. I'm about to be 30 in 2 months. And my whole life, that's all I ever heard was, you have time, you're young, you have time, you're young. Oh, you can figure this out, you can figure that out. You don't have time, you really don't. And I don't want to wake up and be 50 and look back at my life and be in regret or be full of regret. I want to do the things that I want to do now. I want to grow and evolve and change as a person. And hopefully you can come along with me. And if you can't come along with me, then like, I don't really know what to tell you. That doesn't have much to do with me. That has more so to do with you, right? But people don't want to look at their own lives, and that's the thing. And again, it doesn't mean anything. Just because you want what's best for somebody does not mean that they want what's best for themselves. Just because you may see a friend that is currently in a season of her life where maybe she's not understanding her assignments or doing things the way she should, does not mean that it's your place to do anything about it. You really have to realize that you cannot save people who don't want to save themselves, and there may be something within that season that those people have to learn, and they're not going to learn it until they grow through it. That's something you have to be okay with. We all understand things in different phases of our lives, and sometimes people are just in different phases and we outgrow them. We're just not that past version of ourselves anymore that used to align with that, and now we have to go and surround ourselves with different things in order to grow and to manage that growth and nourish that growth. It doesn't mean that we're better. It doesn't mean that they're better. It doesn't mean that they're not shit. It doesn't mean that we're not shit. I think that what people need to realize is that you're allowed to outgrow but still have love within that growth. I have friends that I know we just aren't in the same place as we were when we were 17, and I can love them from a distance, but I have to grow over here. And hey, maybe one day they can get to a point where they do too, and we'll cross paths again. Me and my best friend Tori didn't talk for a year. A whole entire year. That's my best friend to this day. I don't see her often. I see her maybe once a year. But that's still who I call my best friend, because it's still that person that I know if I call, she's going to pick up. It's still that person that knows my deepest, darkest secrets. It's the only person I've ever cried in front of besides, like, I don't know, nobody. But she has my heart as my best friend. And we know that if we set a date and a time and we go and we sit down at a cafe somewhere, we will pick up where we left off. Are we in the same phases of life? No. She has a great career. She's financially stable. She has a man. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to get engaged soon. And she's settling down. And I'm over here and I'm still figuring my life out. But she loves me for me. She accepts me for me. And I know that I'm not going to call her and be like, hey, let's go get belligerently drunk, because that's not where she's at anymore. But I know I can call her and be like, hey, let's go get some tacos and a few margs and talk for a few hours on your day off. I know friends that I have, and I know the boundaries we have in place, and I respect those, and vice versa. But when it gets to a point where it's toxic is when you try to assert those boundaries, like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, so don't invite me out to it. And those people will still do that. Those are people that are not your friends because they don't respect your boundaries. That's where I said, like I was saying, that like outgrowing things has nothing to do with anybody else besides us. Like, it's not the actual people you're outgrowing, it's the past version of yourself that once did align with them. That's what you're outgrowing. You're outgrowing yourself, you're shedding your skin. In order to get new skin, you gotta make room. And like I said, when a fish is in a bowl, when it outgrows the bowl, you have to get a new bowl. You have to get a new environment. When a snake has served its purpose in its skin and it needs new skin in order to get equipped for survival and things that are, you know, yet to come, it has to shed its skin and get new skin. Like, we are humans and we are constantly shedding and growing and evolving and acquiring new information and changing our opinions, and the world is constantly changing, okay? Like, the world that we are in right now is not the world that we were in a year ago, let alone 5 years ago. And you're allowed to grow and change within the times. And you're also allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to say yes. You're allowed to say no. It's all up to you, what feels comfortable to you, what's right within your intuition, and things like that. I think coping with outgrowing is just knowing that, what the fuck?
Am I Dr. Seuss?
I think coping with outgrowing is just knowing, like, girl, it's so, why did I just say that? But no, I really do think that it's just knowing that I want better for myself, and this is what that looks like. And if you do not fit with that or in alignment with that, then I'll see you on the other side. Like, you know what I mean? And you just have to be okay with that. There's duality in healing. So you can have this one side of you that knows what's best for you and that you have to do it. But you can also have another side of you that's like grieving that past version of yourself, which, by the way, if you guys want a video on that, I could do a whole separate video on that, because when I tell you I have lived that for a long time, where it's like I'm in this new season of my life where I'm doing new things that are better for myself, but I want to say maybe like 4 months ago, I was grieving that past version of myself so bad from like 2021 that was like so carefree and outgoing and just didn't care. And now I'm just like, oh, like sometimes I wish I can go back to simpler times, but those times are not going to serve me right now for where I want to go, if I want new and I want better. But you can outgrow a version of yourself while still grieving that version of yourself and being upset that you know that things are just never going to be the same again and that you're never going to be the same again. That is okay. There's duality in healing. There's duality in everything. And two things can coexist at the same time. You can be happy and moving on and be fruitful. And you can also be like, damn, I wish I could go back to that 1 year because it just hit different. It just hit different. And that is okay. I think having courage to walk away and to walk into a new season of your life is something that nobody talks about enough, because I think we're all just learning and growing at the same time. And I can confidently say that I've been there where I have had the courage to walk away. I just honestly got so sick of my own shit. Waking up the next day, getting home at 3 a.m., only getting 4 hours of sleep, waking up the next day and wasting my days. I got sick of not putting time and energy into my goals. I got sick of not becoming who I'm supposed to become. And I got sick of putting my time and energy just into the wrong hats, honestly. And that's not to say that I don't have balance in my life. Well, I love working, and well, no, I fucking hate working, but I love doing YouTube. I love my podcast. I love researching, you know, neuroscience and personal growth and metaphysical stuff and just pouring into God and everything like that. I also have periods of my life where I just miss going out and dancing and being carefree and not worrying about my future. But I also know that that timeline is just not the one that I'm in. And although I do have, like I said, weekends where I do go out, like y'all see me on my Instagram, like I am an extroverted person and I do enjoy being social, but I honor the times where I know that I need to retreat and pour back into myself and have that courage to walk away. I think you finally just get so sick of the lifestyle that you're in that you realize, I can't do this anymore. Everybody has that point, whether it's a relationship, a job, just any experience that you no longer align with. You just get up one day and you're like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't fun for me anymore. I don't like this anymore. I don't want this for myself. And when you finally, I always say this, when you finally get full and fed up at the table you're sitting at, you get up, you push your plate, and you move on. And that really is all there is to it. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below and tell me your experiences with either like outgrowing things or if you're outgrowing things right now. I do want to kind of start doing this thing in my video where I say something that I'm proud of myself for doing, because I don't think that we celebrate ourselves enough as humans. So one thing that I'm really proud of myself for doing is taking the time to clean out my room, make a new filming spot, and really get intentional on the content that I want to put out on this channel. So comment down below something that either you did that you're proud of yourself for doing, or something you're going to do today that is going to make yourself proud. And it could be something so small as like drawing a nice little bubble bath, or I don't know, making a cute little beverage and romanticizing your life, or just not screaming at your kids. Like really, honestly, it's not much to it. It's just whatever it's whatever is necessary for you. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe because it is free, and don't forget to turn on your post notifications, that way you never miss any uploads. While you're at it, don't forget to follow me on my personal development podcast called Sis Let's Heal. And yeah, my socials always down below, but also right here for your convenience. And until next time, stay safe, wear condoms, don't let anybody's dusty, rusty, crusty sun get you in your feelings, and I will see you guys in my next video, hopefully with some Christmas decor, because it's time. Bye.
Baby, I wonder, would you just put your sweats on me? Yeah. I got the plug.